All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Hey, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It's the quickest way to get updates. Otherwise, hey, I really appreciate the time you're putting into here, and I hope you're learning, right? This is what it's all about. So what are we doing today? We're going to look at the psychedelics. So we have 6 tickers, and as always, we're going to do the daily and the weekly charts, D and W. We'll use our moving average lines colored across here, right? These horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw, and then once we're done up here, we'll go down to the MACD and the RSI really as that extra confirmation. So I like to start with the big boy, and that's what I'm going to do with this sector with mind medicine, so MNMD. Unfortunately, this is a really good example of why you do not want your money under the 8 moving average, right? So again, 8 moving average is our green line, and look at how many days this thing has been under the 8, really since, what is this, the end of August, right? Basically this day specifically, we lost the 8. It looked like the 100 was trying to save it, right? There was about 4 or 5 days where it just kind of stayed horizontal, but then once we lost this 1142 line, we still stayed under the 8, and I mean, it really got exponentially worse very quickly, right? We literally went from 11 to 7 in only a few days, right? That's a pretty nasty drop, and really in less than a month, we've actually dropped about 50%, right? This thing was a little higher than 15, right? I mean, my 15, like this actually hits, oh man, this thing hit 17. This thing has definitely dropped a good amount in only a few days, right? And look, obviously it's easy to think that, hey, if it's going to drop like this, it might kind of do the U and go parabolic up. Don't bet on that, right? You should play once we're over the 8, right? Don't put your money in a stock that's under the 8 moving average. It's a really easy rule, and I promise you, technical analysis can do you well. It takes a lot of emotion out of the game. Yeah, look, simply put, it's been trading under the 8. Today we lost another line, right? We lost to 787. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there it is. The next line down is, I mean, more than almost $1, literally 98 cents, right? So a dollar drop is more than 10%. So there's still more pain potentially, right? Looking down here, again, not very good signs on the RSI or the MACD, right? Green under red, we definitely want green over red. Green under red again on the MACD, definitely negative here. And look, we've been pretty choppy right here, right? It's been choppy. So as much as I'm happy to see it kind of trying to come back up, look, we had it right here and it failed. So for me, this thing needs to get over the 8 before anything really matters. So yeah, honestly, on the weekly, nothing too positive as well, right? It made a nice little run trying to break the 20, and then really the last, I mean, 3 weeks especially, obviously we can say 4 weeks, right? But that week, and this current week that we're in, it's been a little rough to say the least. So, yeah, look, I mean, I've mentioned this before. When a stock does a reverse split, generally it's bad after the reverse split, and that's kind of what Mind Medicine's seeing, right? This thing was a penny stock, a dollar stock. It did a reverse split to come into this like 10 to teens world, and I mean, yeah, hopefully it could get worse is all I'm saying. Don't believe that it's over or whatnot. So not looking good on Mind Medicine. So CYBN, I'll be real honest with you. I loved CYBN. I made a really nice profit actually during this run up here. Hopefully you did as well. And then very, very quickly, I saw the lose of the 8, right? We dropped it right there, and I have not been in this stock for a pretty long time. So, yeah, this is a really nice chart that just shows why I like doing this, right? So down here back in just a little bit before August, right? This was the start of August right here is on the 1st. So we make our first run to break the 8, break the 20, break the 50. Little struggle right here to break the 100, right? But all this time we're over the 8, right? Being over the 8 is good. Once we broke the 100, we started to run. Definitely a little bit of pullback here, right? But nonetheless, we're still playing on this 8, right? And again, look, if you got in even right here, right? Maybe you didn't even necessarily get in on the first one because you do want to wait for some confirmation. Those are always important. Hell, even if you waited for the break of the 100 and you got a little scared and you got out on these pullbacks, you made a nice little profit. Either way, though, again, you see all it kept doing was just going and going with the 8, right? So this is the power of the 8. It gives you that line up, and then other way around, once we lose it, oh my gosh, you should not be riding this down on CYBN. You should have seen the loss of the 8 and then just literally hit the eject button, right? And again, that's why I like doing these short-term views. For all I know, this might be the greatest company in the next 5 years, right? That's not how I trade. I'm here, make a quick buck, get out, call it a day, right? But CYBN is not looking good at all, right? This actually looks worse than Mind Medicine. This is really ugly. Not only is the green under the red, it looks like the green wants to keep going lower. And really, same thing with the MACD. We are sitting on the very last line. This is the last moving average, right? This blue one, and then it's just a lot of downhill from here. So let me make a couple new lines. I'll put one basically there. I'll put one what looks like a little too high on that one. And then I think we'll put one, I'll use this guy right here. Okay, so that's at least a good step down. I can probably put another one right in between these. Let's see what this guy looks like. Oh, sorry. How's that look? That's okay. It kind of hits that. It hits that. All right, I'll use that. I'll add a little break in the middle. But yeah, look, right now, hopefully we bounce on this 100 line, right? The blue, the 100. It looks like it won't based on this, right? So again, though, CYBN, you should have easily ridden up and then hitting the eject before it gets worse and worse. So that's a beautiful chart right there. That really shows why I am really into technical analysis, actually. So, okay, what are we looking at here? ATAI. So ATAI Life Science. Really not that good a chart here, right? It's doing this really choppy dance, and there's a whole lot of lines and noise going on, right? You have the 100, the 8, literally almost all of them except the 200 are right here. There's a number of horizontal lines that I got. This is just a little too choppy for comfort, right? I would want to really break out of a cluster before making anything. I will say it kind of looks like it did this bounce off the 100, right? So it almost lost it. It's had a nice couple days actually, but look, we're still under the 8. I at least want to get over the 8, but in all honesty, I really wouldn't touch this until, let's call it 440, because by 440 you're going to get over the 20, you'll be over the rest of them, and then hey, hopefully you'll have a clean ride up. But yeah, there's a nice gap between the 20 and the 200, right? So I would feel more comfortable in these channels up here versus these ones down here, but that's just my 2 cents. I'll look at the weekly real quick. So the weekly was over the 8 actually for a number of weeks. This is the first one under it, so I would keep that in mind. Again, I kind of said it on the daily though, just it looked a little too noisy for comfort. So I'd kind of steer away from this one anyways. CMPS, so Compass Pathway. Oh my gosh, almost an identical chart to ATAI, right? So not too much more. Actually a little uglier because we are technically under all the cluster, right? I obviously would rather be in the middle of the cluster than under the cluster. But again, I would wait to break 1646. Up here is much safer to trade than right here because again there's just so many lines, and I'd rather be over moving averages than under moving averages. Obviously I want to be over the 8 at the very, very minimum, which we are not right now, right? So CMPS and ATAI, very similar charts. This one's actually been under the 8 on the weekly for the last 2 weeks, right? So yeah, but this thing actually made a nice little move. This isn't a ticker I knew very well, but I mean, yeah, this guy went from 7 to 4. This thing made almost a 3x jump from 7 to 21 and all the way back down. So some people did make some good money on this in not that long a time, right? So interesting. SEEL, I got tongue tied. SEEL, Celos Therapy. Hey, this one actually does not look that bad at all, right? So where are we? Look, this is a little bit of a scary day, and I don't like the way that this RSI is shaping up, but we are still technically over the 8. So if this does get a positive day tomorrow, it could still be in play, right? Sometimes you'll see it come and then bounce up, right? But we are over the 8 for a number of days, and really, I think this might be the first ticker that was actually able to say that on the daily. So by no means am I trying to pretend that that's a small deal, right? We are actually over every single line as well, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many moving average lines we have. So this one does look interesting. Really, it needs to hold the 8, hopefully bounce from the 8 and make its way back up. But if it breaks 150, I mean, there's a lot of good sailing up there, right? And again, this is the only one that can actually say it's over the 8 and over all the other indicators. I'm just a little worried about that RSI right there. Weekly actually looks very, very good. Once again, someone made a pretty fat run, almost that exact same amount of time that we saw in Compass, right? But all of these months, right, basically from June through today, we've been over the 8. We just broke the 50 for the last 2 weeks. And look, if this thing can hold the 50, that can still be some positive signs, right? And again, this one does seem like the most positive in the bunch so far, and there is only one left. So TRUFF, red light holding. So again, this one is an over-the-counter one. This one's a very deep penny stock. A little tight of a cluster here, but it kind of looks like it wants to make a fat run. Look, today it was a 19% banger, right? Got us over a lot of moving averages and really saved us from like a very ugly drop if it lost it. These lower indicators are actually starting to look good. Look, it only takes a couple cents to make it move a significant percent, right? So you need to make sure you know what you're doing. You need to make sure you can see all 4 decimals, right? Like these are very important things that matter on tickers like this. But if this can get over 1.0610, okay, right? The 20 moving, if you look at the left box right there, if this can get over that 20 line, there's a lot of blue sky up above it, right? So this thing can make a really good run if it does break that 20. But again, volume is going to matter. You need to make sure you see all the decimals. But yeah, these are really nice RSIs. MACD obviously could be a little better, but that's the nicest RSI I think we've seen on any of the dailies. Weekly, we are under the 8, so obviously trade with caution. But again, this thing does something nice tomorrow, that could be interesting. Otherwise, I'd be a little weary going into next week. So really, SEEL, S-E-E-L, Celos was kind of the only like actual bullish one, but overall a little hesitant in this sector. So trade safely. I hope you're all learning from this. And again, the goal is just making money.